On a crisp night in November 2006, a bright and ambitious college student named Jesse Ross vanished without a trace while attending a prestigious conference in downtown Chicago. One moment, he was seen walking through the hotel's bustling corridors. The next, he was gone, leaving behind no signs, no clues, and no answers. Was it an accident, foul play, or something else entirely? In a city full of eyes, cameras, and countless bystanders, how could a young man simply disappear? As I unravel the events leading to Jesse's mysterious disappearance, the unanswered questions and eerie possibilities will leave you questioning what really happened that fateful night. Stay with me as we dive into one of Chicago's most perplexing unsolved mysteries. Join me for another ride through the strange, odd, and mysterious here at Odd Mysteries Stories. Jesse Ross was a 19-year-old college sophomore from Kansas City, Missouri, known for his charm, wit, and his natural ability to connect with others. As a student at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, he majored in communications and quickly became a standout figure on campus. His friends described him as charismatic and kind, someone who could effortlessly brighten a room with his presence. Jesse's future seemed bright. He was deeply involved in his university's radio station, thriving as a creative and energetic radio personality. Outside of his academic pursuits, Jesse maintained a close relationship with his family and friends, sharing his quick humor and warm nature with those around him. To those who knew him, Jesse was a dependable, grounded young man with big dreams and an unwavering dedication to achieving them. Jesse was affectionately known as Opie Cunningham during his time as a radio personality. This nickname was inspired by actor Ron Howard's characters, Opie Taylor from The Andy Griffith Show and Richie Cunningham from Happy Days. Jesse's colleagues at Kansas City's 95.7 FM, The Vibe, bestowed this moniker upon him during his tenure on the Shorty and the Boys morning show. His nickname reflected Jesse's vibrant personality and was well known among his listeners. When Jesse traveled to Chicago in November of 2006 for a Model United Nations conference, he was eager to expand his horizons and further his studies. It was a chance to engage in spirited debates, meet new people, and showcase his talents. No one could have imagined that this trip would mark the beginning of an enduring mystery. Jesse's life otherwise was unremarkable in its ordinariness, which only deepens the questions surrounding his disappearance. How could someone so full of life and potential simply vanish? His story is not only a tragedy, but a haunting mystery that defies explanation. In November 2006, Jesse Ross traveled from Kansas City to Chicago to participate in a Model United Nations conference at the Sheraton Hotel and Towers. This prestigious event drew students from across the country, offering them the opportunity to simulate global diplomacy, debate critical issues, and collaborate with like minded peers. For Jesse, this was an exciting opportunity to showcase his communication skills and engage in a world far removed from his usual college routine. The trip began smoothly. Jesse arrived in Chicago with fellow students and faculty from the University of Missouri Kansas City, quickly immersing himself in the vibrant atmosphere of the conference. Each day was packed with sessions and activities, culminating in lively late night debates where participants tackled simulated global crises. Jesse, known for his sharp wit and outgoing nature, seemed to be thriving in this fast paced environment. On the evening of November 20th, the conference hosted an emergency simulation, a highlight of the event designed to test participants' ability to think on their feet. This session ran late into the night, wrapping up around 2:30 a.m. when Jesse was last seen leaving the meeting room, walking down a corridor toward what would have been his hotel room. What happened next remains a mystery. The Sheraton, a bustling hotel in the heart of downtown Chicago, was filled with activity even in the early hours. Yet, no one saw Jesse after he left the meeting room. His classmates assumed he had retired for the night, but when he failed to show up for breakfast the next morning, concern quickly grew. Jesse's trip to Chicago, filled with so much promise, would take a sudden and unexplainable turn. How does a young man vanish in a crowded, well lit hotel without leaving a trace? The unanswered questions surrounding Jesse's last known movements would soon become the focus of a desperate search. November 21st, 2006 marked the beginning of a haunting mystery. After a long day at the Model United Nations conference, Jesse attended a late night emergency simulation in one of the Sheraton Hotel's meeting rooms. The session, intended to simulate a high stakes crisis, ran past midnight, finally concluding around 2:30 a.m. As participants filtered out of the room, Jesse was last seen walking down the corridor. His presumed destination was his hotel room, a short walk away. Those who saw him that night said nothing seemed unusual. Jesse appeared calm and collected, showing no signs of distress. It was a quiet and uneventful departure. Despite the Sheraton's location in the bustling heart of downtown Chicago, known for its high foot traffic and security measures, no one reported seeing Jesse again after he left the meeting. Security cameras at the hotel failed to capture any footage of him beyond the corridor, leaving investigators baffled about his movements. Did he exit the building? Take a wrong turn? The lack of surveillance evidence has left these questions unanswered. When Jesse didn't show up for breakfast the following morning, his classmates initially assumed he had overslept. As hours passed by without any sign of him, their concern grew. His professors and fellow students searched the hotel and its immediate surroundings but found no trace of Jesse. By the afternoon, they reported him missing to local authorities. The circumstances of Jesse's disappearance raised immediate questions. How could someone vanish so completely in a crowded hotel, surrounded by colleagues, staff, and other guests? The absence of any signs of a struggle, witnesses, or even a simple clue as to his whereabouts made his case deeply perplexing. From the moment Jesse stepped out of that meeting room, his trail went cold. It would soon become clear that finding answers to what had happened to him during those early morning hours would be far from straightforward. Stay with me as I dive into the search efforts in the next chapter. Upon discovering Jesse's disappearance, authorities initiated extensive search operations, including deploying helicopters, cadaver dogs, and divers to scour the Chicago River and surrounding areas. However, the timing posed significant challenges. The conference had concluded that very morning, and over 1,000 attendees from across the country were already en route home. This mass departure hindered investigators' ability to promptly interview potential witnesses, resulting in missed opportunities to gather crucial information. Despite these obstacles, law enforcement continued their efforts, reviewing the available surveillance footage and conducting thorough searches of both the Sheraton Chicago Hotel and Towers and the Four Points Sheraton where Jesse was staying. Unfortunately, these efforts yielded no substantial leads. Police reviewed security footage from the Sheraton, hoping to trace Jesse's movements after he left the late night meeting. However, the cameras captured no footage of him exiting the building or entering other areas, leaving investigators perplexed. The lack of surveillance evidence became a critical obstacle in understanding what happened during those crucial early morning hours. The search quickly expanded beyond the hotel. Officers combed nearby streets, alleys, and public spaces, while divers and sonar equipped boats examined the Chicago River, which flowed just a short distance from the Sheraton. The river's proximity raised concerns about a potential accident, but despite extensive efforts, no trace of Jesse, his body, clothing, or personal belongings was ever found. Jesse's parents, Donald and Donna Ross, traveled to Chicago immediately after learning of their son's disappearance. They became a driving force behind a broader effort to locate him, distributing flyers, speaking to the local media and urging anyone with information to come forward. Their determination highlighted the love and hope they held for their son, even in the face of an increasingly grim situation. Despite these efforts, no credible leads emerged. Witnesses from the hotel reported nothing unusual, and no one came forward with information about Jesse's movements after he had left that meeting. With each passing day, the trail grew colder and the mystery deepened. For investigators and Jesse's loved ones, the lack of evidence was as frustrating as it was unsettling. How could a young man disappear in the middle of a city, surrounded by people, cameras, and security measures without leaving any trace behind? The search efforts, though exhaustive, brought them no closer to understanding the events of that fateful night. As time has passed, hope of finding Jesse alive began to fade. Yet for his family, the search was far from over. They remained steadfast in their efforts to uncover the truth, refusing to let his case be forgotten. But with no answers in sight, the question of what happened to Jesse Ross became one of Chicago's most haunting unsolved mysteries. In the next chapter, I'll reveal the theories and speculations of this strange and odd case. As time passed without answers, various theories emerged to explain Jesse's disappearance. While some seemed plausible, others stretched the boundaries of imagination. Each theory sparked debate, but left the core mystery unresolved. The most commonly discussed theory is that Jesse may have accidentally fallen into the nearby Chicago River. Located just steps from the Sheraton Hotel, the river posed a potential hazard, especially late at night. Fatigue from the long conference day and the early morning hour might have caused Jesse to lose his footing while walking near the unguarded areas of the riverbank. Despite this, searches of the river with sonar and divers yielded no sign of Jesse or his belongings. The absence of evidence has left this theory unresolved, though it remains one of the more possible explanations. Another theory suggests Jesse may have been the victim of foul play. As a young man alone in a bustling urban area, late at night, he could have encountered someone with ill intentions. Chicago, while vibrant, is not immune to crime, and the possibility of an opportunistic attack cannot be entirely ruled out. However, no evidence of a struggle or suspicious activity was reported, and the hotel's security cameras didn't capture any alarming interactions. Without physical evidence, this theory remains speculative. Some have floated the idea that Jesse may have chosen to disappear. Cases of voluntary disappearance, though rare, do occur, often driven by personal struggles or a desire for a fresh start. Yet, this theory clashes with everything known about Jesse. He was a responsible, well liked individual with strong ties to family and friends. His belongings, including his wallet and phone, were left behind, further undermining the notion of a planned departure. Those close to Jesse firmly rejected this explanation, citing his character and life circumstances as incompatible with such an action. A less discussed theory considers the possibility of a medical emergency. Jesse may have experienced sudden disorientation, a fainting spell, or another health related event that left him incapacitated. If this occurred in an isolated area, such as a stairwell or maintenance space within the hotel, it could explain why no one witnessed or found him. However, thorough searches of the hotel did not uncover any evidence to support this scenario. Finally, there is the unsettling possibility that something entirely unexpected or unconsidered happened that night. Jesse's disappearance may involve a factor investigators have not yet uncovered, whether due to a lack of evidence, oversight, or a truly extraordinary event. This theory is the hardest to accept because it offers no clarity or direction for further inquiry, leaving the case shrouded in uncertainty. Each theory raises compelling questions, but ultimately falls short of providing answers. Was Jesse's fate the result of a tragic accident, a malicious act, or something entirely unforeseen? With no concrete evidence to support or disprove any of these possibilities, the case remains one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in Chicago's history. In the next chapter, I'll discuss the impact Jesse's disappearance has had on his family and friends. Jesse's disappearance sent shockwaves through his family, friends, and the broader community. For those who knew him, the sudden absence of a young man so full of life and promise was an unfathomable tragedy. The lack of answers compounded their grief, leaving them trapped in a liminal space between hope and despair. Jesse's parents, Donald and Donna Ross, were thrust into a nightmare no parent should endure. They traveled to Chicago immediately after learning of their son's disappearance and worked tirelessly to support the search efforts. Over the following weeks and months, they became the face of the campaign to find Jesse, distributing flyers, speaking to the media, and pleading for anyone with information to come forward. Their heartbreak was unmistakable, but so was their determination to bring their son home. For Jesse's friends and classmates at the University of Missouri Kansas City, the news was equally devastating. Vigils were held on campus as students shared stories of Jesse's humor, warmth, and talent. His absence was deeply felt, a stark reminder of how quickly and inexplicably life can change. The radio station where Jesse had been a vibrant presence was now quieter, marked by his absence. In the wider Kansas City and Chicago communities, Jesse's story resonated deeply. People were drawn to the mystery of his disappearance, joining efforts to spread awareness and share his case. Online forums and local discussions buzzed with speculation, reflecting the collective frustration and sorrow over the lack of progress. Law enforcement and search teams also grappled with the emotional weight of the case. Despite their efforts, they were unable to provide the Ross family with the answers they so desperately sought. For everyone involved, the case became a reminder of the limits of investigation and the enduring pain of unresolved loss. Years later, Jesse's family continues to advocate for his case, ensuring his story is not forgotten. Their resilience in the face of such profound uncertainty is a testament to their love and commitment. For those closest to Jesse, the hope of finding the truth has not faded, even as time marches on. The impact of Jesse's disappearance goes far beyond the mystery itself. It is a story of a family's unyielding love, a community's compassion, and the haunting reality of a life interrupted. Those who knew and loved Jesse remain united in their quest for answers, keeping his memory alive as they navigate the unresolved questions left in his wake. In the next chapter, let's discuss the questions that remain in this mystery involving Jesse. Years after Jesse's disappearance, this case remains a puzzle without answers. Despite extensive investigations and tireless efforts from his family, the mystery of what happened during those early morning hours in Chicago continues to baffle everyone involved. The unanswered questions surrounding Jesse's fate linger, each one as haunting as the last. How does someone vanish so completely in a crowded hotel, surrounded by people, cameras, and bustling city life? The Sheraton Hotel, located in a high traffic area of downtown Chicago, was equipped with security measures. Yet, no footage of Jesse leaving the building or entering restricted areas has ever been found. Did a blind spot in the surveillance system allow him to slip out unnoticed, or was his disappearance more complex than it seems? The proximity of the Chicago River has also raised lingering questions. Could Jesse have wandered outside and fallen in? The lack of evidence from extensive searches leaves this possibility inconclusive. Some wonder if the river holds secrets that may never be revealed, while others believe investigators should have focused their attention elsewhere. Equally perplexing is the absence of witnesses or any clear signs of foul play. Jesse left a meeting room in a busy hotel, yet no one has come forward with a credible account of seeing him after that moment. Was it simply a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or could there be someone withholding information? Speculation about a voluntary disappearance has largely been dismissed by those who knew Jesse. His belongings, responsibilities, and character all point to someone who would not leave without an explanation. But the lack of evidence for any other scenario has kept this theory in circulation, fueling further frustration for those seeking answers. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Jesse's disappearance is the unknown factor, an event or circumstance that no one has yet considered. Did something extraordinary or unforeseeable occur that night? The lack of physical evidence leaves this possibility open, adding to the case's mystique and the growing list of questions. As time goes on, the hope for definitive answers persists, although it is tempered by the cold reality of an enduring mystery. For Jesse's family and friends, the unresolved nature of this case is a source of ongoing anguish. How can they find peace when the truth remains so elusive? The questions surrounding Jesse's disappearance are as vivid today as they were in 2006. With each year passing, the lack of answers becomes a louder reminder of how much remains unknown. Will the truth ever surface, or will Jesse's story remain one of Chicago's most haunting mysteries? In the next chapter, I'll share what I believe are the most plausible and least plausible theories from my own perspective. In the absence of evidence, theories about Jesse's disappearance have ranged from the plausible to the far fetched. Each one sheds light on different possibilities, yet none provides the closure sought by those so desperate for answers. The theory most commonly accepted is that Jesse may have accidentally fallen into the nearby Chicago River. In my opinion, this theory has the makings of an Occam's razor to it. The river was only steps from the Sheraton Hotel, and its unguarded edges posed the real risk, especially late at night. Fatigue after a long day at the conference may have left Jesse disoriented or less aware of his surroundings. This theory gains plausibility from its simplicity. Accidents near bodies of water are tragically common. However, despite sonar searches and divers scouring the river, no trace of Jesse was ever found. Experts note that strong currents and debris could have carried evidence far from the search area, but the complete lack of findings leaves this explanation frustratingly incomplete. The idea that Jesse chose to vanish remains one of the least credible theories. While some individuals have been known to leave their lives behind intentionally, Jesse's circumstances make this unlikely. He was a responsible, well liked young man with no history of impulsive behavior or personal issues that might suggest such an action. He left behind his wallet, phone, and other belongings, further undermining the idea of a planned departure. In my opinion, this theory seems counterfactual thinking and therefore not as plausible. Friends and family strongly dismiss this theory, pointing out that it is inconsistent with his character. Another plausible yet unproven theory is that Jesse may have been the victim of foul play. Chicago, like any major city, has its share of crimes and opportunity. As a young man walking alone late at night, he could be an easy target. However, there were no reports of suspicious activity or signs of a struggle in or around the hotel. Security cameras also failed to capture any interactions that might suggest foul play. While possible, this theory lacks the evidence needed to give it weight. One less explored possibility is that Jesse suffered a medical emergency, such as a sudden collapse or disorientation. If this occurred in a secluded or rarely accessible part of the hotel, it could explain why he was not immediately found. However, searches of the Sheraton's premises, including restricted areas, turned up no evidence to support this theory. Finally, The most unsettling theory is the idea of an unknown factor, an event or sequence of circumstances that no one has yet considered. This can range from an unusual accident to an encounter with someone who has remained completely undetected. The lack of any clear evidence lends itself to this possibility, though it makes it the hardest to investigate or resolve. While an accidental fall into the Chicago River remains the most plausible explanation, in my opinion, it does not account for the absence of physical evidence. Similarly, theories of foul play or a medical emergency are speculative at best. The notion of a voluntary disappearance conflicts with everything known about Jesse. Theories continue to circulate, but none provide the answers his families and friends desperately seek. As the mystery persists, these theories serve as reminders of how fragile certainty can be. What really happened to Jesse? The question endures, leaving behind a shadow of doubt and the hope that someday new information will emerge to shed light on the truth. In the next and last chapter, I'll reflect on the impact his disappearance has had on his family and friends. The disappearance of Jesse Ross is more than an unsolved mystery. It is a deeply personal tragedy that continues to resonate with those who knew and loved him. For his parents, Donald and Donna Ross, the search for answers has been an unrelenting journey filled with heartbreak and uncertainty. Their unwavering efforts to keep Jesse's memory alive underscore the profound love they hold for their son, even in the face of unimaginable loss. For Jesse's friends and classmates, his absence is a painful reminder of how quickly life can take an unexpected and devastating turn. The vibrant, charismatic young man they knew, a friend who could light up a room with his humor and kindness, simply vanished, leaving behind only memories and unanswered questions. Jesse's story has also left a lasting impact on the broader community. His disappearance is a haunting example of how, even in a modern, connected world, someone can slip away without a trace. It has drawn in countless individuals who, though they may have never met him, feel a deep empathy for his family's plight and a shared frustration over the lack of resolution. What makes Jesse's case particularly haunting is the complete absence of closure. Every theory, every search, every lead ends in the same place, a silence that echoes louder with each passing year. For his family and loved ones, this lack of answers is both a source of ongoing grief and a driving force to keep seeking the truth. Jesse's story is not just about the mystery of his disappearance, but also about the enduring strength of those who refuse to give up on finding him. It is a testament to the family's love, a community's compassion, and the human need for understanding in the face of the unknown. To this day, Jesse Ross's disappearance remains one of Chicago's most perplexing cases. But for those who carry his memory, it is not just about uncovering what happened that fateful night. It is about honoring the young man who brought joy and light to so many lives and ensuring that his story continues to be told until the answers are finally found. Hey, thanks once again for watching my video. My name is Vince. Would you please consider supporting my channel by either buying me a cup of coffee at the link below, or even treating yourself to some merchandise at my online shop? I truly appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this story, you might also be interested in the story of the disturbing case of the Mayorova family. You will find the link to that story in the upper right corner of your screen. Thank you.